All right. I hope you all are doing good today. In my last class, I said that in today's class, I'll discuss some of your activities randomly, but I'm sorry, I don't think it will get time to do that today. Um I want to cover up Shannon and Weaver's model for today's syllabus. However, we will try to find some time in this coming week. Okay? All right, I have 13 students so far. Let everyone come and then I'll begin. All right, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
good. Now, as you all can see on the screen, that today we are going to talk about Shannon and Weaver's model of communication. Again, this is one of the models or one of the basic models of communication. I would like to briefly repeat that in last class we talked about Laswell's model that came out in 1948. I told you the time period when the Laswell models came out. I mean, it was almost a century ago. And Shannon and Weaver's model is again considered one of the basic models. The reason is that this model too again came out around the same time period, and the same time period when means of communication were radio and telephone. Telephone was another medium of communication, although not for mass communication, it was still a medium of communication. So, very briefly, Shannon and Weaver's model again is one of the basic models of communication that we are going to discuss today. All right. So, the model, as you can see, is again named after its originators, the people who proposed the model. Their names were Claude Shannon, Claudeshannon. But you can find the name in the notes, PDF notes that I will share with you. By the way, I have already shared the PDF notes and the PowerPoint slides related to Laswell's model on Moodle. They are available on Moodle under the title of Basic Communication Models. And like I said, that I'll not send an email to let everyone know that recorded lectures are there, PowerPoint slides are there, or PDF notes are there. I I upload material, my teaching material on Moodle on a regular basis, and it is your job to keep checking that material every week or maybe possibly every day after every class, I mean. So the model was proposed by these two persons. The first person's name was Claude Shannon, and I have forgotten the full name of this person. Let me check one more time. Yeah, I have forgotten his full name, but this person's, I know his full name was Claude Shannon. I need to recheck this person's name, or it may be written in the notes that you will receive. So they proposed this model again in 1949 or 48, the same time period during which Laswell model was proposed. And let me tell you very briefly about their background. Claude Shannon was a mathematician. Like he had his disciplinary training in the field of mathematics. Claude Shannon, the first person in this model who proposed this model, was a mathematician by profession. Similarly, this person was a scientist. He was a scientist. What happened? Now, consider the circumstances when they proposed the model. Claude Shannon and Weaver. They were working together in a telephone company. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the company's name was Bell Telephone Company. Graham Bell was, by the way, the person who invented telephone. And there was this company, Bell Telephone Company. Shannon and Weaver were working together, like they were employed in that telephone company when they proposed this model. And there they were, since they were working in a telephone company, and telephone was one of the first means of electronic communication, so they were working on telephone. What they were doing was, what they were investigating at that time was, they were trying to find a medium that could be used to transfer maximum signals. That was their research. And then in that investigation, they came up with a model that we will discuss today. Here I have told you very briefly the history, the historical background of this model, and I'll stop here to take your questions. If you have any question, I'll answer them now. And thus far, do we have any question thus far? Yasser Iqbal, please turn on your camera. Same for you, Salman Habib.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, actually, my camera software is updating.
I'm sorry?
Ma'am, it take just 5 minutes.
Sure, sure. Hasib, you as well. And
Ma'am, I do.
yeah, all other students. Tabriz is here. I can see Ahmad Zia. I'm also trying to memorize your names. Feroza, you need to turn on your camera. Malik Umar Riaz, you need to do that as well. All of you, please turn on your cameras and keep them on for the session. All right, here's my next slide. So I have already talked about this. Yeah, here comes the full name. Claude Shannon was a mathematician who worked for Bell Telephone Laboratory, not company, well, laboratory in 1949. And Warren Weaver was the full name. He was an engineer. Wait a minute, please. He was an engineer and also a scientist in 1949. So they were colleagues. They were working in the same telephone company where they, and what they were investigating was, they were trying to investigate what channel can be used to carry maximum signals. That was the like the investigation they were doing when they actually came up with this model. All right, sorry. I apologize for the poor quality of this image. I actually took the picture of this image from a book. The writer of the book is John Fiske. The book is already mentioned in course outline. Actually, I am using that is optional book for you to read. However, like I said in the beginning, that the availability of material and the availability of the availability of material and the availability of books is not a problem for you. It is my job. I will upload material on Moodle on a regular basis. See, I have also given the source of this image. The image was taken from this book. Okay, now, like I said, the model came in 1948. So what were popular means of communication in terms of electronic media in 1949, 1948? What were, Ahmed, would you like to answer? Ahmed Zia?
Yes, miss, newspaper and print media were the popular means of communication
But,
at that
I,
time.
we ask about electronic media, then what was the popular media at that time?
Radio, radio.
Shabash, shabash. Good job. Radio and telephone as well. Although telephone was not for mass communication, however, it was one of the means of communication. Okay? Consider these two media, telephone and radio. So there has to be this is how the model flows. Source, it begins from a source. Let's say source is telephone or radio. And then from source, can you see my cursor when I move it? Can you see this cursor? Okay. From source, the message goes to the transmitter. So there has to be a device, a radio transmitter or a telephone. You see telephone set. From source, the information goes to transmitter and it goes in the form of signal. You see the signal at the top of the arrow. And from there, here the signal is transmitted, here the signal is received. Before this box, the signal is transmitted and then signal is received. It goes to receiver. Okay, so for example, if communicator is sitting here, he's using a device. That device would be transmitter. And receiver at the receiving end, he also has a radio set, right? So that is receiving signals. And then he is transmitting signal. The message is definitely then going to destination. It's not clear here, but when you will see the PowerPoint slide, the image in the PowerPoint slide on Moodle, this would be clear. This box here denotes destination. The model is quite simple, one of the very basic models, like I said, and that is why it is simple. And I think it describes the information that comes in the form it describes the information that comes from radio and from telephone in a very good way in the form of these boxes. I'll repeat this information that I just said. Information begins from a source, from communicator, let's say a radio presenter or a radio jockey, an RJ. It goes to a transmitter, a device that radio presenter is using for transmitting his information, and it goes in the form of signals, and then signals are received by antenna or any device by the receiver, a radio set, and finally the information goes to the destination, to audience. Now, have you noticed that in this model the information goes in just one direction, linear? It is linear model. What is linear? Who would like to tell? I explained the term linear in my last lecture. What is the meaning of linear?
One way?
One way, shabash. Linear is something that goes in one line. In mathematical sense, linear is something that is in the form of a straight line, like this
That
line.
doesn't have any feedback?
Yes, feedback, you can say linear. Well, feedback can be there, then flow of information will be on the opposite side. Excuse me, let me go back to in that. I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to do with the feedback. For example, we can go backward as well in the form of feedback in today's world. In today's world, internet has made feedback possible. So if destination, like on social media, if you receive a message and you comment on that message on social media, it means you're giving feedback and the information is going back. Okay, so in this sense, you see, by linear I mean information that goes in straight line. And also the information here, the transmission, the model explains the transmission of information here really, you see, simple way. Let's see what we have here. They said, Shannon and Weaver said that when an information begins from source, then it goes to transmitter. At this point, when the signals are being transmitted, the information can be interrupted by some sort of noise. What can be a noise? Who can explain? What can be a noise?
It can be the distortion on the radio, or if you are like talking in interpersonal way, it could be the distraction between like two people are talking and then sound coming from the background.
Who is speaking? May I know the name?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay. Now, who was speaking earlier? I'm sorry.
I think it is
Tell me your name, please. The person who was saying that any distortion. I'm sorry?
The brace.
Tabriz. Thank you, Tabriz. Yes. Okay. Noise, let me define what noise is. Noise definition. Noise is anything that works as a barrier in the flow of communication. ठीक है? Or in the process of communication. Now pay attention to my words. It is really, really important for you to understand what noise is. For us, noise, we say distortion. Okay, noise is like anything loud. So noise is in the sense of communication, noise is anything that interrupts or that messes up with the flow of message in a communication process. Let's say if I am delivering my lecture right now, okay, I am talking to you, but in your mind you are thinking about something else. You are not paying attention to what I'm saying, and you are instead thinking about something else. You are having some personal thoughts, or maybe you are having, okay, this is too early in the morning and I still haven't eaten my breakfast, that kind of thing. Now your thought process, of course, is impeding to understand what I am saying. That is also noise. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Can anyone repeat what I just said? Would anyone like to repeat what I just said?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, Ahmed, go ahead, Shabash.
So basically, first you defined what noise is, and then you gave us a relevant example to explain to us what it is.
So what is noise? Can anyone repeat what I
So,
just said? Yeah.
so basically, any kind of distortion in the communication process is called noise.
Yes.
Um,
Anything that,
Anything that interrupts
yes.
is
Interrupts with
noise.
what? Interrupts with what?
Interrupts the flow of communication.
Good job. Interrupts, yeah, with the flow of the message in the process of communication is noise. Example, I just gave an example. Haseeb, would you like to repeat the example for me? Beta, can you tell me your name? The girl who was speaking earlier?
Feroza Fayaz, ma'am.
Feroza. Good job, Feroza. Haseeb Akhtar Saeed. What is the example that I just gave? Beta, you need to unmute yourself.
Ma'am, I guess he's texting in the chat box.
Go ahead. What were you saying? Sorry.
I guess he's responding in the chat box.
I'm not paying attention to chat box right now. Can you hear?
Can I continue with the example?
Go ahead. Please tell me your name before you speak.
Fatima Ahmed.
Yeah, Fatma, go ahead, please.
Ma'am, you gave an example like, but our mind is not
Yes.
at the
Yeah.
moment, and we're thinking about other stuff, so we can consider that as an
Yeah. Noise.
interruption.
Yeah, you are not attentive to what I'm saying. So see, isn't this interrupting with the message? If you are having your personal thoughts and you are not paying attention to lecture, that is noise.
Yes.
Similarly, let's imagine another situation. You are sitting in a classroom attending teacher's lecture. A person enters and he grabs a chair. He drags the chair really, really hard and it creates loud noise. Now, that dragging of chair doesn't let you listen to what I'm saying, what a teacher is saying. That is also noise. Okay? Are we all clear about noise? Give me a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it usually happens when someone enters the class at later than when it has actually started. Everyone starts looking at them as their attention is diverted to that person. Your mic is on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that was a very good example, Fatma. I'm glad. Very good. So you see, now your brain is working and you're coming up with some more examples. Similarly, let me ask you another question. let's say you are going somewhere, you're driving, and you see a billboard when you drive by the road. And on that billboard, there is a message, okay? But that message is covered up with something. Let's say the billboard is ripped apart. They usually put flex on billboard. So that flex is ripped apart and you cannot read half of the message because of that. Is that noise?
It can be
ma'am.
noise
Yes,
because,
miss.
ma'am,
Shabash,
it's
shabash. Feroza, first you
because,
and
ma'am,
then
we can
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Feroza.
ma'am, it is a sort of noise because you cannot read the whole message
Very
and
good, very good.
it's only
Shabash,
half, so it
shabash.
can be.
Yes. Ahmed, what were you saying, bete?
Yes, miss, I wanted to say that in communication, noise can be in any form. It can be in the form of visuals, it can be
Yes,
in the form of audio, it
yes,
can be a physical noise as well.
yes. Shabash.
Person can also be a noise in a communication process.
Shabash, very good example. So anything that interrupts with the flow of message in a communication process is noise. Feroza just said that even if the flex is ripped apart in a billboard, it's interrupting with the flow of message. It's not letting you understand what the message is. So that is also noise. Very good. All right, let's move on to our next slide now. Okay, Shannon and Weaver's model, a better view. This is the same model that I just showed you in my previous slide, but the image wasn't very clear there. See, the information begins from a source and the message goes in the form of signals. It goes to transmitter, again in the form of signals, and that's where noise can intervene. Okay, and then you receive signals, a receiver, it goes to the headphone, sorry, the telephone set or radio set, and then message finally reaches to destination. Can anyone translate? Heather, I'm going to ask you this question now. So I have this cell phone in front of me. Can you translate the same model to the communication that happens through cell phone? Heather Kamal?
Yes, ma'am. Are we talking about a call on a cell
Yeah,
phone?
yes.
Okay, ma'am. So जो information source है वो बंदा है जिसने कॉल किया दूसरे
शाबाश,
बंदे को,
कॉलर, वेरी
और
गुड. हाँ.
कॉलर है, और जो मैसेज उस दरमियान में उसका मैसेज होगा, और जो फिर ट्रांसमीटर आएगा जिसको उसने कॉल की हुई है.
Transmitter
और
will be the phone of the caller. That
ट्रांसमीटर
is yes. Okay, then
वो बाद में जी.
how is the message going? Message is going through signal.
Message is going through signals,
Shabash.
and the signal is being received by the
Shabash.
receiver at the other end.
Very good. Receiver of the listener. The person who is being
ठीक,
called.
उसका
हाँ,
ठीक है.
receiver.
The phone of the receiver.
Yes.
The
yes.
phone of the other person.
Yes.
Is the receiver,
Yeah.
and the destination is the other person.
Listener. Shabash.
The
Good
listener.
job. Listener. Okay. Okay. And how can noise intervene into this process? Can anyone talk about that? Let's ask Salman Habib. Salman, can you talk about how can, I mean, any example, how can noise interfere in this process?
Noise may be because of signal, weak signals.
Weak signals, shabash. Weak signals is also a very good example. ठीक है. Okay, let's move on to the other my next slide. So I told you that this model, Shannon and Weaver's original model, was proposed in 1949. However, the model was revised in 1970 by DeFleur, Mavelin DeFleur. I think that's the full name. So he extended the model and he added the element of feedback into it. So earlier, when you see this image, sorry, there isn't, I mean, see, information is only going in one direction. It's in one direction. Okay? However, in this model, again, I took this picture from the book that I have used to prepare the lecture, and you will find the same images in that book as well. DeFleur added the element of feedback Now this came in 1970s when television was becoming a popular medium, and the idea of feedback somehow became possible in the time period of television and radio as well. Have you ever seen any TV program in which a host reads letters of audience? Like audience write letters to a TV host or a TV producer, program producer, and then host reads the letters.
Yes.
Yes, so that is feedback. That is an example of feedback. So again, same information source from source to transmitter to channel to receiver and then destination. However, he said that when element of feedback comes into it, the destination audience becomes source, and then they use the same medium, and that is how feedback is produced. And at all level, all of this information, he said that noise is always there. Noise can always be there. Okay? Any questions so far? Any question? Or should I proceed? Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Malik, Umar, Riaz, Shiza, Shiza has a problem. Dawood, please turn on your cameras. I would like you to turn on your cameras. All right. This is my last slide for today's lecture. Acha. Shannon and Weaver, in their model, they talked about different levels of problem in communication. So earlier we were talking about the idea of noise. Remember, we said noise is something that interrupts with the flow of message in a communication process. They said that this noise, actually this problem, can happen at 3 levels: technical level, semantic level, and effective level. I'll explain them one by one. And please pay attention to what I'm saying, because excuse me, because I'm going to ask you questions, not questions. I'm going to ask you to give me examples related to these problems. Okay? What is a technical level problem now? A technical level problem, according to Shannon and Weaver, is any problem with the device at the receiving end, or any problem with the device at the sending end, at the sender's end. Okay? A technical level problem is any problem with machinery, where message cannot be communicated properly because of technical level issue. So let's say I'm giving you an example. Your friend writes you a message on WhatsApp. You all use WhatsApp, do you?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So your friend
Yes, ma'am.
from WhatsApp, it reminds me, Fatima, bete, how is your WhatsApp group coming along? Sorry, I couldn't talk about that earlier. You created a WhatsApp link that I shared with everyone.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So is everyone on that group now?
Yes, ma'am, they're all a part of it.
Okay. Can you, and how can I join it? Like by clicking on it or something?
Ma'am, I'll send you the link again. You can just click on it and you can just join it like
Okay.
that.
After we finish the meeting, I'll ask only Fatma to stay, and everyone else can leave. Okay? Okay? So that I can work out on logistics of the WhatsApp group. All right. So I was giving you example of technical level problem, and I was talking about the example of WhatsApp. Let's imagine a situation. Your friend writes you a message on WhatsApp, and he says that let's eat at this restaurant tomorrow at 8 p.m. Imagine. He sends you this message on WhatsApp. Now you are away, and you are away from home, and you do not receive the message because you do not have internet on your cell phone. So let's say you come back in about 6 hours or 8 hours, and then even then, although you do receive the message, you don't check the message. You check the message late. You do not see the message on time. So that is a technical level issue. Your friend could not receive the message because you did not have availability of internet. So that had to do with technicalities. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? All right. Semantic level problem is a problem that is related to language. I will repeat. Semantic level problem is a problem that is related to language. So we all use for our assignments and other stuff, we use Microsoft Word file. Okay, you all have used Microsoft Word. Okay, and you know that Microsoft Word underlines your spelling mistakes. Okay, so for example, you are writing a sentence for your teacher in your assignment, and you wanted to write the word from, FROM, but you wrote it form, FORM, and both are correct according to Microsoft Word example. Okay, now that is why Microsoft Word doesn't underline, but you know, the sense of your meaning is changed only because of semantic level problem, only because of a problem that is in language. Now, does it make sense or no? So a semantic level problem is a problem that interferes with the meaning of the language, that creates a problem because of the meaning of the language. Now, both words exist in English language, from and form, but because of the inaccurate use of the word, the meaning changes, and you cannot communicate the sentence that you wanted to communicate, that you intended to communicate. This is an example of a semantic level problem. Okay, सबको समझ आ गई है इसकी?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's move on to third and last problem. It's effective level. What is effective communication? Okay, now always remember, an effective communication is a kind of communication where 100% understanding is done. Like whatever I'm saying, you are understanding it 100%. This is an ideal form of communication, and many times it does not happen. Maybe many of you are listening to me apparently, but let's say you are sitting in a room and somebody enters and you get distracted, and that distraction doesn't let you understand what I was saying. I mean, let's say I spoke for 30 minutes. You understood what I said for about 25 minutes, 26 minutes, but then you kind of skipped some sort of information for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Then effective communication has not happened in that sense. So that is an example of an effective level of communication. With that, I have ended today's lecture. Last 5 minutes are left. Any question about technical, semantic, or effective level problem?
Yes, miss.
Ma'am, can you
If
please
it,
repeat the technical level?
Ahmed, go ahead, please.
miss, if you're giving us a lecture and we're not able to focus it because we're lost in our own thoughts,
Yes.
what type of problem would it be?
Okay. Effective. That is effective level problem, because effective communication has not happened in that case. Very good job. Fatima bete, I just sent you my number, and if you can send me your number as well privately, I'll call you myself after I get free from my teaching.
All right, ma'am.
Acha ji. Any other question? Ahmed, you asked a very good question, and that actually reveals your attentiveness level of, I appreciate your asking this question. Now, what we're doing, we are done with with Shannon and Weaver's model. In our next class, we will discuss a very, very brief model. Its name is Osgood's model. I'll write in the chat box. It's a very brief model. That's what we will do in our class on Monday. But with that, I'll verbally quiz you on Shannon and Weaver's model, all of you. So please come well prepared. Okay? Very soon, I'll upload this recorded lecture and PowerPoint slides as well. I have already uploaded notes on Shannon and Weaver's model on Moodle. The PDF file that I uploaded on Laswell's model, it is 15 pages long document. It also has details related to Shannon and Weaver's model. So come prepared for your class on Monday, because I'll verbally quiz you on Shannon and Weaver's model. Okay? Okay, so Gilani is saying, can I repeat the technical level problem? But a technical level problem is a problem where an information cannot pass to destination because of technical issues. I gave you the example of WhatsApp message. Let's say your friend writes you a WhatsApp message, but at that time you do not have availability of internet and you get the message next day. So that was a technical level problem. You couldn't get the message because of a technical issue. Does that attendance, but I'm not doing attendance because I actually took longer than I anticipated for my lecture, and I have very little time left for attendance. But that's okay. I mean, those of you who come here and participate, I think teachers usually remember them. And but if you are absolutely not coming to classes and kind of you are never showing up, that is a problem. Inshallah, I'll do attendance next time. Okay? Any question? Tabriz,
Ma'am,
yes, go ahead.
if there is something wrong with the phone's microphone or speaker and it doesn't allow the communicator to receive information properly, is it also an example of technical
That is technical. Tabriz, I'm sorry, the call may end at any minute. I have run out of time. You can write me an email, or you can ask me a question at the beginning of the next class. Okay? I'm so sorry. I apologize. Please either write me an email or ask question in the next class. All right. I would like to end the session now, and I'll see you all next Monday. Thank you and goodbye.